Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Language Arts Gallery. Today, we're going to be talking about Lesson 4 of our Problem and Solution essay for young learners. And you can find this lesson and all my academic writing lessons in my Teachers Pay Teachers store, which is linked in the video description. And please remember to subscribe to the channel so you get all of my academic writing lessons, including all 5 of the Problem and Solution essay for young learners. So let's go ahead and let's talk about writing a great conclusion for our problem and solution essay. So let's review exactly what a problem and solution essay is. So we said that a problem and solution essay explains what type of problem exists and it proposes a potential solution to that problem. So in our essay, we're talking about problems that existed with the barter system. And we're talking about how money was the solution to those problems. So each body paragraph of our essay is going to focus on details of that problem. And our introduction, we talked about in our last video, we said we're going to engage the reader. We're going to give them a roadmap or a thesis map. And then we're going to present our thesis statement, which is the solution. And today, we're going to talk about our conclusion, which I think is the easiest part of the essay. So let's take one more quick look at how this essay is structured. We said our introduction here. I talked about this. It engages the reader. It introduces the problem, which is life before money, when people had to trade to get the things they need. This was difficult. It gives details of that, and that's going to be covered in each body paragraph. And then it talks about the solution. And each of those details is outlined in its own body paragraph. And then we get to the conclusion, which we're going to talk about today. And as I said, I think the conclusion is the easiest part because remember, we're not introducing any new information in our conclusion. Academic writing is really simple. We tell our reader what we're going to tell them. That's our introduction. We tell them. That's our body. And then we tell them what we told them. That's the conclusion. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to tell our readers what we already told them. So I've got here the conclusion in our mentor text. Now, the conclusion in a problem and solution essay is a little bit trickier than, say, in an opinion essay. And I'm going to talk about those slightly different nuanced parts to our conclusion here. So first, we want to signpost or we want to signal the end of our writing. And we've got that here with those first 2 words, in conclusion. Then we're saying life before money was difficult. So we're restating the problem. Then in red, we're going to summarize the problem. This is where we're telling our audience the 3 big points that we talked about in each body paragraph. People struggled to trade, they couldn't save for the future, and they didn't have fair prices. Then we're going to restate the solution, which was money. The invention of money solved these problems and made life easier for everyone. Today, we can buy and sell things quickly, save for the future, and trust that prices are fair. And finally, we want to leave the reader with a final thought. Now, this is an opportunity to get creative. Here in the mentor text, I said, money truly changed the world. So let's go through each part of the conclusion. First, we want a signpost. We can say, in conclusion, in closing, to wrap up, which I think is a little less formal. I might use that in a presentation where I'm speaking. I don't know if I'd use that in formal writing. Or we can say to conclude. And you can think of other ways that you can signal to your reader that you're ending the essay. We want to restate the problem. I said life before money was difficult. We could say this other ways. We could say the barter system made life difficult. And then I want to summarize the 3 main points. I said people struggled to trade, they couldn't save for the future, and they didn't have fair prices. Those 3 points should match the 3 points that I mentioned in my introduction. That's my roadmap or my thesis map. And each of those 3 points should be the main idea of each body paragraph. So that all has to line up. And finally, we want to restate our thesis, which is our solution, which is that money solved these problems. And you can tell if you go back to the mentor text, I gave a little bit more detail. I told how it solved the problems. We can buy and sell things quickly, we save for the future, and we trust that prices are fair. And finally, we want to leave the audience with a final thought. I don't really give my students a lot of direction on this because I want my students to be creative. This is your opportunity to share something. You don't want to share any new information, but share something that you think is creative, relevant to the topic. So you can say, money changed the world. That's a very powerful statement. Okay, so if you're working with your students on your own creative writing or problem and solution essay here, you've got a graphic organizer that you can use to help them develop their conclusion, or you can create your own on paper if you're not purchasing the resource. But you want to ensure that you signal the end, restate the problem, summarize the problem, restate the thesis, and leave the reader with a final thought. Okay, thank you so much. And in our next lesson, we're going to talk about day 5 of our problem and solution essay, which is peer editing. We're going to talk about tools for peer review. So please remember to subscribe to the channel so you get that and all my other videos. And I'll see you in our next lesson at the Language Arts Gallery.